Okay, guys, look, we're going to go ahead. We're going to get things kicked off here. First and foremost, again, as always, you're more than welcome. I really appreciate everybody showing up. It's always nice to, do these sessions live. It helps me a lot because I know I could just record them and put them up in the members only site, but I always like to get a little bit of an audience anyway and try to do them live. I think it's just a better energy. So, what are we going to talk about today? So, let me just today, well, what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at uh, Tony Robbins' rapid planning method and how I use it with our system here, the One Source Personal Development System. So, pre-warn everybody to a degree. We did this previously. We did this back in March of 2020. So some of you who've been here for a while, you might think that this is going to be the very same, and it will be to a degree, but you can think of this as a 2.0 version because I'm going to do it in a little bit more detail today. And what I want to do is I'm going to do some exercises where I'd like you to actually implement it live as we're actually doing it. And I've added one or two little tweaks to it as well because I'm using it all the time. And when I come up with ways to improve it, I like to incorporate it. So if you're thinking this is just a repeat, you're half right, so to speak. So where did everything begin? Just very briefly. If you remember when I told you at the very beginning about obviously all my health challenges and how I got into personal development and how I got involved in research and all the other programs out there. One of the main, if not the main, was Tony Robbins. I got very, very much involved in Tony Robbins stuff. Like I said to you before, I've attended the Tony Robbins Leadership Academy. I've literally every book he's ever written, any program he's ever come up with, I've actually just not listened to or read. I basically immersed myself in. Big fan of Tony Robbins stuff. And so in the very early days, one of the very first programs that I came across was Tony Robbins, The Time of Your Life. Okay. Now, the time of your life, a lot of people confuse it. They think it's a time management system. And I can understand why you would think that because there are certain elements of time management. But once you get to really understand it and incorporate it into your life, it's so much more. But I started out studying the Tony Robbins Time of Your Life program, and I quickly began to understand that it's not a time management program at all. It's a mind management system. It's a systematic way of improving your thinking. So, and like I say, there will be certain elements that resemble a time management program, but it really truly is about the way you think. It's about shifting that focus. So, and included inside the Time of Your Life program is what's called the R.P.M system. It stands for Rapid Planning Method. Okay. And I would encourage you if you want to kind of learn it in a lot more detail than what I'm going to show you here today, go onto YouTube, type in Tony Robbins RPM. There's a bunch of free information out there. But what I want to do today is I want to kind of show you how over time I learned to incorporate it into what we do. It's just like everything else, just like Mel Robbins, the way we incorporate some of her techniques into what we're doing, like, the 5 second rule or the high five habit, or all of the other programs, Les Brown, Jim Rohn, whatever the case may be, Brian Tracy, all the different, uh, I guess, personal development I don't experts is probably the best way to put it. Some of their strategies and their tips and their techniques. But the rapid planning method was one that really resonated with me. And again, it's really just about changing your way of thinking. So when we talk about changing the way you think, it's all about instead of just focusing on the activities, what you need to do, it's shifting your focus to what's the outcome. Okay, primarily what's your objective? I prefer the word objective, but outcome, objective, um, goal, whatever you want to refer to it as. But so what we're going to do it through through a series of steps, but primarily just keep in mind that it's all about changing your focus to your outcome. What are you looking to achieve? And it'll make a lot more sense, obviously, as we progress. But again, not so much on the activities. So, and we're going to do that, something we've done before as well, is by asking the right questions. The best way to control your thoughts, to shift your focus, is through the power of questions. So, but this is going to be fairly simplistic. There's going to be a few questions that we're going to ask. Whenever you're looking, whenever you're doing anything within reason, you can use these questions. And that's going to be the biggest part of the R.P.M method. But another way of thinking of R.P.M is results, purpose, and your map, your massive action plan. But basically, those are going to be the three questions you're going to ask yourself. You're going to ask yourself whenever you're looking to achieve anything or do anything or accomplish anything, whether it be a long-term goal or rather it be something you just want to achieve throughout the day. The first question you're going to ask yourself, what's the result? What do I really want here? What am I looking to achieve? Like I say, I like the word outcome. I always like to ask myself the question, what's my outcome here? What am I, what would the ideal outcome be in this scenario? The next is, why do I want it? What's the purpose? What's the purpose of this? And once I identify what I want or what the outcome is, why I want it, well, then the only thing left to do is create my massive action plan. What's my strategy? How am I going to get it? Okay. I can tell you right now, I use this in business all the time. I use this in business when I do business development for various clients. When I go into different meetings, I always find in most corporate cultures, in most businesses, there's far too many meetings without even knowing what is the outcome, what's the objective of this meeting. So one of the first things I always learn to do is when I'm involved in meetings and I have the authority, I suppose I'm not just there as a guest, but if I'm running a meeting or if I'm invited at some type of management level or consultancy, I always ask the question, okay, what's our ideal outcome of this meeting? What are we looking to achieve? I ask that right at the beginning. And then I'll follow up. Okay, and why are we looking to achieve that? What's it going to do for us? What's the purpose of it? And if they can answer those two questions, then the entire focus of that meeting should be all about, okay, we understand what we want, we understand why we want it. What's our plan? What's our strategy? What's our massive action plan? But again, you can do the same thing. This isn't about business. This is just a way of thinking. And those are the questions you should be asking yourself, whether you're doing something, with your family, what's the result? We're going here. What's the result of this dinner? Oh, we just want to spend some good quality time together. We want to enjoy each other's company. we want to catch up on some things. Obviously, you're not going to ask them that, but I'm talking about the way you're going to be thinking in your mind. And well, what's the purpose? Well, because, we haven't seen each other in a long time, and these people are really important in my life. It's important to me to know what's going on. Okay, well, what's my strategy? Well, I'm going to make sure that I'm in a positive state. I'm going to make sure that I interact, and that I'm fun, and we just enjoy ourselves, and anything I could do throughout the dinner or whatever the case may be, I'm going to make sure that I'm focused on what's the outcome. And again, I'm not. That's only an example. I'm not saying you have to get so strict that you're constantly thinking in these terms, but it's a great way of shifting your focus to go ahead and gain control. And I'm going to give you some examples, some real life examples of how I do it on a daily basis and how I incorporate it into our system here with OneSource. So, but if you think about it, going back to our system, if you go back to session number 3, your purpose, it's the same thing that we do. Remember, we went through the whole thing with purpose, and Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich. We created a 3-step plan. And if you remember, what was that 3-step plan? First thing, what do you want? Okay, what do you want? In other words, what's your outcome? What's your objective? The next was, why do you want it? What's the purpose? And then finally, how will you get it? So again, what's your strategy? What's your massive action plan? So those are 3 questions you can replace if it's easier for you. What do you want? Why do you want it? And how will you get it? The exact same thing. It's just a different, different wording, a different way to communicate the same message. So the 3 steps again, just very quickly. Now and I'm going to show you how to use it in your daily planning. Because again, remember, this is all about what? It's all about how you can incorporate it into your system on a daily, consistent basis. And how you can go ahead and produce the results on a consistent basis that you're looking for. So what's the first step? Again, well, what's going to be your focus? Okay, so when you focus, what do you focus on? You focus on the outcome, not the actions. Too often with the system, I find that people are always kind of focused on those daily activities they're doing. And that's great, because ultimately that will produce the outcome for you. But that's not going to give you the drive when things get tough. You need to focus on the outcome. Why? What's going to happen once you achieve it. And again, we'll go through it in a little bit more detail, and you guys will figure this out as you're going along. You've already done this. You've already done it with your purpose statement. But we're going to take it to the next level. But again, then what's your why? Once you identify what you want, why do you want it? It's not enough just to say, I'm going to take this action, or I want to get this result, so I'm going to take these action. If you want to develop the drive, more than motivation, that word drive is so critical. But if you want to develop the drive, well, you're going to have to dig a bit deeper. All right, you're going to have to really try to visualize exactly, why you want something. In other words, what's your purpose? And then you're going to develop your massive action plan. Okay, and that's what we're going to focus on now. We're going to put all three of those steps together, and I'm going to give you some real-time examples of how I use this on a consistent basis. And you can use it for yourself, and you can definitely teach it and use it with your clients. So what I like to use, because this is going back to the very, very beginning, at least 10 years, is if you guys remember, maybe you don't, it's been a while now since I've talked about it. But initially, when I created the system, I referred to it as the code of three. The code of three is something that resonates very strong with me. Again, this is my life stone that I got my tattoo. The only tattoo I ever got in my life, and it probably will be the only tattoo I get in my life. But I went and I really feel strongly about that number three, and it symbolizes to me, focus, balance, and purpose. But I do a lot more with the code of three. Three is a very strong number with me, and not in I guess in a I don't know the best way to phrase it, in a like a spiritual way or nothing like that. It's just for some reason I really like that the number three resonates with me, and I believe it's just because I know the way that the mind works. We can focus on three, four things typically at most at the same time. That's why in marketing and things you'll always see things no more than three or four that they kind of draw your attention to. But again, three is strong with me. So when I create my plan, I always like to create what I refer to as a code of three action plan. And again, you can refer to whatever you want. It's not about the code of three or anything else. It's just something I've always used. So when I'm creating my massive action plan of how I'm going to achieve something, I always like to use the code of three, again, because I know for controlling and directing your focus, your mind works best basically when you're focused on three to four things max. Typically, not always. And there's some people obviously that can do a lot more, but on average, the average person, their mind works best when they're trying to focus on three things. So I tend to use what's referred to as the 80-20 rule. So when I'm creating my massive action plan, or any type of plan for that matter, I try to focus on the 20% that will produce 80% of the results. Okay, this is a proven formula that basically, if you analyze almost anything, you'll always find that it's 20% that produces 80%. 20% of the activities will produce 80% of the results. If you're in business, 20% of your customers will produce 80% of the revenue, where the other 80% of those customers will only produce 20% of the revenue. So if you really truly want to maximize your time and your energy, focus on the 20% that is going to produce 80% of the result. So when I'm creating my plan, I tend to focus on, again, that 20%, but I want to make sure everybody understands it's not, I don't just have three or four things that I need to get done. Like when I'm planning out my day, I'm going to show you an example of when I plan out my day. I tend to focus on no more than three to four things that I believe will produce the majority of the results for me that day in that particular area. So again, it doesn't mean that I only have three or four things to do. In most cases, I have a massive to-do list. I could have as much as 70, 80, 100 things on my to-do list because it's always growing. But when I analyze it, this is just I suppose a tip for you I use a system of managing my to-do list called Getting Things Done by David Allen. David Allen, I've been using his system for a long time. It's not really about doing more, but it's just a way of producing what's called stress-free productivity. Won't spend much time on it right now, but I just want to throw it in there because we are talking about how I kind of create my daily action plan or my massive action plan. So I go into my GTD list, getting things done list. I'll pick out 3 to 4 of what the top things that I believe will produce the majority, the 80% results for that day. Now, Tony Robbins, when I first got it, it comes with some planner. It's be honest with you, it's not nice. It's actually kind of flimsy. But it's just a cheap planner, and you don't need anything like that. Like if you want, the best thing I think to do this when we're going to do some exercises now, I'm going to show you in real time. It'll make more sense as I progress, hopefully. Just get yourself a blank journal. Okay, it's great if you write things down. I have to admit, I always did that at the beginning. I've shifted off that years ago. Now I do it all digitally, and I'm going to show you how and the tools that I use to do it digitally and show you some examples. But truthfully, if you like to write, a blank journal is probably the best tool, because just actually the physical writing of it embeds it in your mind much stronger. But myself, I do everything in Evernote. You don't have to do that. I'm just throwing some things out there how I do it. It's just a note taking and a note management app. I do it in Evernote. You guys might be more familiar with OneNote. There's dozens of them out there. But myself, I like Evernote because primarily what I do is I can put tags in and I can pull things up and organize them in a very user friendly way that I can always go back for periods of time and into different lists and things like that. I use this with GTD as well, his entire system of stress-free productivity. But getting back to the R.P.M method, apologies if I'm getting off track a little bit. So what do I do? Well, when I'm creating at the beginning of my day, when I'm kind of creating the results that I want for that particular day, because again, what's the first thing we're going to focus on? The results, or I'm going to decide what do I want. Well, the way that I do it is I focus on what? The 4 key areas. That's how I incorporate the R.P.M method into our system. And I'm going to make this a little bit bigger so you can see it. But what I do, and this is an actual one from July 14th, 2020, that I keep it, and I can pull all the stuff out of my Evernote pretty handy. So what did I do that day? So I sit down at the beginning of the day. I'm planning out my day. And again, don't make the mistake of thinking that this is my time management tool or my list management tool. It's not. Again, I use David Allen's Getting Things Done. This is primarily how I incorporate the R.P.M method into our system. But the first thing I'll do is, and this whole thing, by the way, only takes me, I've been doing it for so long, it takes me literally a few minutes to do every day. But I'll think about my relationships, the first key area. I'll ask myself for that specific day, what do I want to achieve with my relationships that day? Okay, on this particular day, in this example, so for my relationships, and you'll see I've got 3 things down there because again, remember that these are the 3 things that I believe if I do them will produce the majority of the positive results, 80% of the positive results, that it'll be a good day, a really good day, hopefully, with my relationships if I can get these things done and if I can do them to a standard that's suitable. So the first thing I do is, okay, what's the outcome? What's my objective? What's the result that I'm looking for? Well, on this particular day, I just wrote down, well, my outcome in my relationships today is to have an amazing day with Pauline and just enjoy being with each other, connect with the kids, and enjoy some time on my own working out in the shed. Okay, that's what I do. I enjoy spending time out in my shed tearing apart equipment. That's another another story for another day if you haven't heard it. But these are so that's the outcome I'm looking for. So at the end of the day, when I'm reflecting, if I think back, I want to feel as if the outcome was, me and Pauline had a really amazing day today. Really enjoyed being with each other. I connected with all three of my kids, and I spent some time on my own, just enjoying myself. I listened to a podcast. I tore apart some equipment, whatever the case may be. Okay, that's the outcome. Why do I want that? What's the purpose? Well, because my relationship with myself, Pauline, and the kids are the absolute most important things in my life. Those relationships are the most important thing in my life. Okay, so what have I done here? The first two questions. What's the result I'm looking for, or what's the outcome? And what's the purpose? What's the why I want it? Okay, so the only thing left is with the relationships. Well, what's my action plan? What's my massive action plan? And again, I pulled out three things that I believe will produce 80% of the results for that. So the first one, PC2, that just stands for, my wife's got the same initials as me. So PC2 is just, Patrick Pauline squared. Basically, it's always an abbreviation I use. So PC2, walk on the Grand Canal. That's something that we like to do on a nice Sunday, or if the weather's decent, whenever we can. We live not too far from the Grand Canal. We like to take some time, go for a nice walk, spend some time together, have a chat along the way, or whatever the case may be. So I put that down. I want to make sure that today we get a good long walk down the Grand Canal, spend some time together. What's the next action that I want to do? Well, I want to call Ashley, Caitlin, and Stephen. Those are my three kids. None of them were living with me. So I want to make sure that I made a conscious effort to place a call to each one of the kids, so I can go ahead and connect with them. And even though they're living in different parts of the world or different places, whatever, I know that I can go ahead and I can still connect with them and, keep that relationship strong. The final one is one for me: tear down 3 Cisco switches and listen to some Howard Stern. Okay, again, that's my little man cave out in the shed. I have old IT equipment that I just enjoy tearing apart and getting the precious metals out of. I enjoy doing that tremendously, and I always listen to something, either a podcast, in this case, Howard Stern. You might not know who Howard Stern is. Maybe you do. He's massive in the States. I've been listening to Howard Stern for more years than I can remember, probably about 30 years at this stage easily. But yeah, I'm a huge, huge Howard Stern fan. So that to me is enjoyable. Go out there, tear apart some equipment, and listen to Howard Stern. Now, I got the first two done. I obviously didn't get that one done for that particular day for whatever reason. I got preoccupied. Somebody came by. I don't know. I can't remember, to be honest with you. But so hopefully that makes a little bit of sense. In the area of relationships, what did I do? What's the result I want? I want to have an amazing day with Pauline and the kids and some time on my own. Why? Well, because my relationships are so important. That's the purpose. Okay, what's your massive action plan to go ahead and achieve that? Accomplish those things, and I should have a good chance of producing the result that I'm looking for. So that to me is a real example of how you can use the R.P.M. in your day-to-day planning, incorporated with what we're doing here with our system. So what I want to do now is I'm going to give you a moment, and we said that we do it in real time. And I want you to just take a few minutes. I'll just say it doesn't have to be perfect, but think about tomorrow. Create your first RPM plan for your relationships tomorrow. So the first thing you're going to do, just jot down, and it doesn't have to be perfect, guys, and you'll get much better at this as you do it longer. Like I say, I can do it now so quick. It takes virtually hardly any time at all, a few minutes. But take a couple minutes just to get the feel for it, and think about the first question. What's the result that you would like tomorrow with your relationships? And just jot something down there. And again, it doesn't have to be perfect, but just take a minute or two. And try, as you get better at this, try to make sure that you try to be as specific as possible. Don't just write, I want to have good relationships. Put details in. Who do you want to have those relationships with? How do you want to feel in those relationships? Is it with your partner? Is it with yourself? Is it a combination of the both? Is it your kids? Is it your friends? Is it your creator? Whoever, it doesn't matter. It could be your dog. It doesn't make a difference. I'm a big dog lover myself. But whatever relationships are important to you, just write just one sentence, 2 sentences to kind of summarize it. But you can do more as you progress, as you get better. You can write a whole paragraph if you like. So what's that now? What's that representing? That's the R. That's the result that you're looking for. So what's next? What's the purpose? What's the why? Write down why it's important that you go ahead and you produce that result. What's the reason? You know what you want. So why do you want it? Okay, so again, you know what you want, write down why it's important to you, what's the purpose. And now, so that's your R, that's your P. Let's do the M, R.P.M. What's the M? Your massive action plan. Another way of saying it is, what do you want? Why do you want it? And how are you going to get it? Whatever you're most comfortable with. But now, what's your massive action plan? So come up, remember that code of 3? Again, you can do more, but try to come up with 3 or 4 of what you believe. And typically what you would be doing is, if you had a list of things that you have to do, or I'm terrible for I have loads of lists. But I would be looking at analyzing those lists and reviewing them every day, and I'd be trying to pick out 3 things that collate with my relationships that I believe would produce the result, the top 3 or 4. But just think now, what are 3 or 4 things that you can do? If for an example, if one of the things on your list is to, spend some quality time with, your partner, your spouse, your significant other, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever, it doesn't matter. Well, what's something you could do for that individual? Maybe something fun, maybe go out to dinner, maybe, just, go see a film, maybe just, go spend some quality time, go for a walk. If it's, if it's with your kids, what's something you can do that's going to produce that result? If the result you're looking to achieve is to connect on a stronger level with your children, well, maybe go do something fun, but something fun that allows you, to have a talk, connect with them at the same time. But again, these are all things that you should be very much aware of. But try to come up with three. So hopefully you've gotten three things down there now. Now, and it makes sense. You know the results you're looking for. You know why you want to do it, the purpose, and you've created your massive action plan. So now do the same for your health. Because again, you're going to do this for all four key areas. You're going to do your relationships, and then you're going to do your health. So again, this is from the same day. This is what I want to do for my health that day. The outcome, well, I just wanted to eat well, drink plenty of water, and get a lot of exercise. That was the outcome I was looking for my health that day. Why do I want to do it? Well, this is basically so I can look and feel my best long term. Now, after all, my health truly is my wealth. And then I come up with my action plan, my massive action plan. Well, I think if to produce those results, what do I have to do? Well, I got to make sure I get a minimum of 10,000 steps in. I go ahead and, which I would have done, I've incorporated that, you'll see with my walk on the canal, 2,000 calories or less. And this is something I've struggled with for so long, is my cups of coffee. I drink way too much coffee as I sit here right now, drinking my cup of coffee. 3 cups of coffee a day, max for the day. And fortunate enough for me, on that particular day, I succeeded. So I got all 3 of those things done. So what do I have? I have my outcome, my result that I'm looking to achieve, my purpose, and my massive action plan. 3 things. So you do the same. You go ahead and write down for the area of your health for tomorrow. What's the result you're looking for? And try to be as specific as you can within reason. You'll get much better as you progress. You always got to remember, things like this, when they're new to you guys, it's going to take you a while. It's a different way of thinking. But as you do it, like any skill, like anything, it'll get easier and easier. And pretty soon you'll be sitting down with your little journal at the beginning of the day, and you'll be trying to plan out your day. And you say, okay, what's the result I want with my relationships? Well, why do I want it? Okay, and so what's my massive action plan to go ahead and produce that result? Then you're going to do the same with your health, like you're doing right now. But what's the result? Why do you want it? And how you're going to get it? R.P.M. Result, purpose, massive action plan. Give it just a minute. Okay, and again, I don't expect perfection, guys. I'm just trying to get you used to kind of thinking like this. Now do the same for your growth. For me, wasn't one of my stronger days. I only got one of the 3 that I put down there. But for my growth, what did I do? Well, the outcome, I want to finish writing the first draft of chapter 3 of my book. Okay, so that was the outcome I wanted in that area. Why did I want that? What's the purpose? Well, because it's going to serve as a tool in my business and assist in sharing my system with more people. And what was my minimum action? I'm sorry, my massive action plan. Well, I said I was going to write for a minimum of 1 hour, which I did. And then CTT stands for Creative Think Time. Something I like to do where I'll sit down for a period of time with one question on a piece of paper, and I'll just try to direct my thoughts to that and come up with as many answers as I can. And then I wanted to start the outline for chapter 4. Unfortunately, I only got one of those done. I don't know what happened. I got sidetracked somehow, but okay. But again, what's my result? What's my purpose? And what was my massive action plan? Now, again, your turn. So what are you going to do for your growth? What's the result you're looking for tomorrow for your growth? Again, try to be specific if you can. And why do you want that result? What's the purpose of it? And then try to come up with 3-4 steps, actions that you believe, the top 3 or 4 things that you believe you can do that day, that you believe will produce the majority of the results. Remember that 80-20 rule. Then we're going to do the same for the finances. So again, on this particular example, for my finances, I wrote down for my finances, outcome, just be productive, be organized, efficient, and effective throughout the workday. Manage my income and my outgoings as efficiently as possible. Okay, that's the outcome I want to produce for that particular day. Why? Well, the purpose, well, to assist me in the goal of creating comfort and security for myself and all those I love and I care about. Okay, so what was my my massive action plan for the day? What were the 3 things minimum that I was going to do to produce those results? Well, I was going to work a minimum of 8 hours, which I did. I was going to work on my Google AdWords campaign, which I did. And as far as my outgoings, I was going to spend no money that day. I was going to have a 0 spend day, which I did. So good for me. I went and whatever I got done that day, whatever I put down, I got done in the area of my finances. So again, but what did I have? My result, my purpose, and my massive action plan. All in that tiny little statement. I did all 3 of those things in the area of finances in that tiny, brief little statement. It took me probably all of about 2 minutes to come up with. So, final one. Now it's your turn, guys. And when you have this finished, you'll have your first R.P.M plan incorporated with the OneSource personal development system. But just take your time, write the results you're looking for in the area of your finances, why it's so important to you that you achieve that tomorrow, and come up with your 3 actions that you can go ahead and you can take to produce those major results, those 80% of the results. And it doesn't always have to be 3, guys. It can be 4, it could be 5. Like I say, I tend to zone in on the 3. Okay, so that should be your first completed R.P.M plan incorporated with our system. I like to refer to it as the R.P.M 2.0 when it's incorporated with our OneSource system. But if you see, I mean, that's why it's so important that you're always looking at other systems, strategies, and techniques, because I started out learning the RPM system, but I incorporated it into everything that we do here. Because again, instead, Tony Robbins will talk about, and I strongly suggest you go onto YouTube and check out some of his stuff. I use it in business. He uses it in literally everything that he does. I'm not that disciplined with it. I use it in certain areas. I use it in business to a degree when I'm doing business development, but I do it every day to the best of my ability. I try to do it every day. I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't. I should be 100% honest. I don't do it every day. I do it most days. Where I just sit down as part of my morning routine. I'll spend 10, 15 minutes, a few minutes in each area, and I'll just write and I've done it so often now, and because I have it all on my Evernote, I can just quickly bang it out as far as what's the results, what's the reason, and what's the plan in the area of my relationships, my health, my growth, and my finances. But I'm going to teach you a shortcut. Okay? So if you don't, you're always best to do it, but realistically, you're not always going to be able to do it. Life gets in the way sometimes. Like I just said to you there a minute ago, I try to do it every day, but sometimes, for whatever reason, I'm got off to a late start. I've got tied up doing something else at the beginning of the day, whatever, and I don't get it done. So once you do it enough, remember I said at the beginning, it's a way of thinking. You can easily do this on the fly. You can do it throughout the day. And this I've already taught you before, but you wouldn't even identify it. But primarily, if you remember the session about purpose, okay, what do you want? So if I didn't get the physical journal down, I know throughout the day, I don't have to ask specifically, what do I want for my relationships? What do I want for my health? What do I want for my growth? What do I want for my finances? I'll just ask myself, what's your goal today? But actually, the way I phrase it, I always say, what's my main objective for today? Because truthfully, my main objective stays the same each and every day. I only set one goal for each day. And even though it's broken down, but I always ask myself throughout the day, what's your objective for today? So what am I doing? What's the result that I want for today? Well, for me, and you would have heard me say this when I was talking about my purpose, I just want to be happy. I just want to be happy and enjoy the process. That's my goal each and every day. So when I think about what result do I want from the day today? I just want to be happy and enjoy the process. Now, for me, again, yours is going to be very different. But if we remember, we go back to the session number 3 when we did that one on purpose. I would have told you that at that particular time. That's the goal that I set, the objective that I set. That's my result. I don't have to break it all down but one by one in each area. But the key thing is, what does happy mean to me? And this is a very personal thing. But I know what I do when we talk about questions. I'll say, well, if I just want to be happy today, what do I have to do to be happy? Well, for me personally, to be happy, well, I have to be well balanced in all the key areas. I have to be strong, meaning disciplined. And I basically have to be self-reliant, independent. Those are the, remember we talked about the traits in the when we were developing our purpose statement? That's exactly what that is. I just want to be happy and enjoy the process. The reason I add enjoy the process, because I don't want to always just be goal focused on goals. I want to enjoy what I'm doing throughout the day as well. There's a big difference between being happy and enjoying something. For me, happy means to be satisfied and content with the progress I made that day and moving in the direction I want to move. Well, how do I do that? Well, I know I have to be well balanced in all the key areas. I know I have to be strong and disciplined when I'm doing my reflection throughout the day, and I have to be self reliant. I have to be independent. But I like to mix in things that I enjoy throughout the day too, either like what I talked about earlier, Howard Stern, or listening to music, or spending time with people that I really enjoy being around, doing things like this. Like this to me, I really enjoy doing. But it's also it's making me happy because when I reflect on it tomorrow, well, it's moving me towards my goal, my objective. But I'm enjoying the process. But ultimately, throughout the day, I'll often ask myself that question, and it's just a snapshot of the result that I want, why I want it, and my massive action plan, which you're going to see in a minute, the whole thing together. But I'll go ahead. I'll say that statement. You know, what do I want? What's my objective? Well, I want to be happy and enjoy the process. That's what I want. What's the why? Why do I want that? Well, if you go back to the purpose statement, and you all have one, well, this is the reason why. You know, again, I hope everybody's still saying that purpose statement every day. You should have it memorized now so well that you can just rattle it out. But again, so when I say, what's my objective for today? Well, it's just to be happy and enjoy the process. You know, why do I want it? I can just quickly, quickly just give a quick version. You know, all about, well, you know, because I know living in this manner, I'll enjoy loving, lasting, meaningful relationships with my wife, my children, my friends, my creator, and virtually everyone I come into contact with. I also know that living this lifestyle on a consistent basis, I'm going to develop and maintain high levels of health and fitness. Not only will this ensure that that I feel my best, look and feel my best, but will also provide me the strength, the energy, and the longevity to enjoy life to the absolute fullest. You know, in addition, I'm going to continuously grow as an individual. I'll increase my level of intelligence, ability, and understanding. So I have more to give not only to myself, but to my family and society as a whole. Last but not least, I know that living this lifestyle will provide me with financial freedom. I know that not only will this guarantee me security and comfort for the remainder of my life, but also for the lives of my family and everyone I care about. Then I just go on to talk about the obstacles, but that's why. So I know, why do I want to be happy and enjoy the process? This is my why. Okay, so the result I want is to be happy and enjoy the process. The purpose is my purpose statement. Now, what's my massive action plan? How am I going to get it? Well, I'm going to use my common denominators. I'm going to go ahead and control and direct my focus on a consistent basis throughout the day to those four key areas. I'm going to focus on my relationships, my level of health and fitness, my personal growth, and my finances. I'm going to ensure that they stay balanced, that, you know, that I'm not just focusing all the activities on one, that I'm making sure that all the activities are balanced throughout the day. And I'm going to continuously remind myself of why I'm doing it, my purpose statement. What's my objective today? To be happy and enjoy the process. Why do I want it? And I have my purpose statement. So even if I don't have time to write out the whole statement, throughout the day, I could always use an RPM. I always know exactly what's the result I'm looking for today. I know what my objective is because it doesn't change. Each and every day I live, I just want to be happy and enjoy the process. I know why I want to do that. I want to do that because of my relationships with my family, my wife, everybody I come into contact with, my health, my growth, and my finances. And I understand how I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to keep it balanced because I'm going to control and direct my focus to those key areas. Everything can be summarized with that statement. And as far as what my action plan would be as well, I know with my standard chart. You guys all should know that standard chart very well. So if you don't have time to be writing out your strategy that day, your statement in your journal, well, you should know what standard you're trying to hold yourself accountable today. In each key area, with your relationships, what's your goal? What's your objective? You want to have a really good day, you better make sure that you're keeping tabs on that and you get that 0.75. You want to have a great day, well, you better make sure that in that area you're getting of 0.8125 or above. Amazing, extraordinary, and you're going to do the same with every key area. But you should know this by the back of your hand. Should be all wrapped up inside your head that you can rattle it off. So a lot of information there, guys. Hopefully you get your head around it. Hopefully you did it in real time with me. You have an example of how you wanted to go ahead and do it tomorrow. I'll be around for a bit. Questions, comments, concerns. If you need to jump on a call with me, please feel free. Just drop me a WhatsApp. I'll do my best, to get together with whoever needs me to, or at least respond to you through WhatsApp or email or anything else. But that's powerful, guys. I hope you get that. It's two systems combined into one, but it works very effectively with what we're doing. And just one final reminder before we wrap it up, and I apologize, we're a few minutes over. Make sure that you're doing your purpose statement every day, you guys. I know it's been a while, for some of you anyway, since you've completed that. I really hope that you're taking the time each and every day, because that is what will give you the drive. R.P.M. What's the result? What's your purpose? You should know exactly why. That's your purpose. That's the easy part. You should have that embedded in your mind at this stage. And the massive action plan is your dashboard, your strategy. What standards are you going to live to that day? So, right. Appreciate everybody coming today. And as always, very much appreciated. And questions, comments, concerns, please feel free to reach out to me. And I will see you all next Tuesday, if not sooner. All right. All the best, guys. Have a great night.